Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, Into?
We are back, and hopefully this time without any Wi-Fi or connection issues.
Not hopefully. We have done massive surgery to make sure that today's Facebook Live is going to stay connected. So you can consider this like an upgrade or a redo of the one that we did before. Because there's just a lot of stuff that we didn't get to get into because, frankly, we were just wasting time with the connection.
Exactly. So this is round 2 of our fast time mastery training.
Yes.
Who are these guys?
Yeah. So let's lay out like an outline. What we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this sort of gigantic, frame shift or like, a change in the way that you think about your time and how you manage your time. That's going to help you get to the next level that you did before. So that's the bulk of this. But first, we want to sort of talk a little bit about, we'll just set it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Demir and I are professional full-time productivity coaches. We are top ranked in the US. We run Lifehack Bootcamp, which is a very highly rated online productivity program designed for top achievers, high achievers, overachievers even, to get sanity back in their life.
Yeah, so our mission is to work with overachievers to bring sanity back in life so they can unlock their full potential, tap that untapped potential, but then also not just tap that potential to work more, tap that potential to live a life that on all sides is superior, better health, better finances, better relationships.
Exactly. So our work has been featured in various media outlets. You can just check out our whole website to get our background and our story and sort of our approach.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask us when we say, we've been, members of the Forbes Coaches Council, we're international speakers, and then we, a big thing if you follow us on Facebook is we travel all over the world. So we run this business. It's a 6-figure business. We run it all over the world, and we're about to hit 7 figures next month. And so you'll hear us crowing a lot about that. And so, but we do it while traveling the world and working less than 31 hours a week. And so a lot of people will write articles about us or have us on podcasts and they'll be like, how do you guys do it? How did you become, productivity coaches, and how do you live this kind of lifestyle? And so, really quickly before we get started, I just want to like sort of cue them in on our story.
Definitely. And honestly, like when I think about where we started and this whole 10-year journey that we've been on, our goal is to shortcut you guys to the very end of the line, right? Because we've done a lot of learning over these last 10 years. And what we've realized is there's some fundamentals that really get you 80% of the way there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it like with anything in life, when you're innovating something, 99% of what we've done in the last 10 years has been stabbing in the dark. Okay, well, that doesn't work.
Right.
All right, let me try it this way. All right, that doesn't work. So what we do with our clients now simply is we just shortcut them to the front of the line. We just take everything and condense everything we've learned in the last 10 years into the courses and the programs that we offer. And I love it because I wish that I could go back in time and offer this to myself when I was 25 years old, because that would have been such a massive accelerant. But the reason that we did it, frankly, is, we were the worst, right? We were that couple that was working too hard, killing our body. And the short version of the story is we were working in New York City, and I was working 80 hours a week. Carrie was working for Kraft, working, similar hours, but in a really killer environment. And within 2 weeks of each other, our doctors both gave us sort of like health diagnosis that was like, you need to stop, and not this year, you need to stop working like that this month, or you face the potential of incredibly painful surgeries and potentially even death.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really devastating for us because we were really ambitious. We were really good at what we did. And so to receive a diagnosis like that really made us feel like we were over, like it was done. It was either, before we were considered ourselves successful, but now we didn't see a path to that same success.
Yeah, because and here's the thing that I want to really tee up for you guys too. We had this blockage that I think we all collectively suffer from in this culture, which is we could only see 2 outcomes in life. You're either successful and rich and miserable, unhappy, unhealthy, or you can be happy, healthy, have great friendships, but you're going to be poor and unsuccessful. And so like this trade-off, this binary thinking that we have, where it's like the false choice, where it's like either success and misery or, unhappiness, or happiness and lack of success and lack of money. And so when we finally broke through that, it was like obviously like mind melting. And so now that we're like the Johnny Appleseeds, going out there trying to preach this word of like, hey, you can actually have both. You can have tremendous success on a level that you've never experienced before, like we have in the last 10 years, and you can be more productive, you can be more wealthy. And so that's what we're out there to teach people.
Exactly. So really quick, if you're logged on now,
Yes.
just a comment, because we can't really see your names, but we can see comments. So keep commenting, let us know like what you're thinking, definitely your name and where you're logging in from. And then as we get into the training, your responses to that, if you have any questions, we're here live, so use us.
Yeah, why not start out with this? Why not give us your name, where you're logging in from, and your number one problem with productivity, if you care to share that. Your name, where you're logging in from, your number one problem with productivity.
Awesome. Hey, Deanna. See you, Deanna.
Deanna, what a badass. Thank you for setting this up, Deanna.
Awesome. Okay, so should we dive in?
Yes, let's dive in. Okay, can I tee this up a little bit?
Please.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like I said before, what we do is we essentially shortcut our clients to the front of the line. That's it. I mean, everybody who's listening to this, all of our clients are smart enough to do this work. The problem is they're doing other work, right?
Yeah, you got other stuff to do.
They didn't dedicate their life to breaking through on productivity. They're breaking through on other missions, and they're focusing on other things. And so they don't have the time or the inclination to go through and like innovate the most, productive, efficient workflows where you can be happy and super productive at the same time, right? And so the thing about this journey for us has been that it's been full of counterintuitive truths.
Yes.
Meaning things that look great but suck. Like a book that you read and you go, oh my God, this is going to blow my productivity through the sky high. And then you try to actually do it and it doesn't really work.
This must not be for me, right? Then you think to yourself, oh, this doesn't work, or it must be only for some special people that know how to do it right, or whatever.
But no, it actually it's one of those things that just doesn't work. It just sounds really clever. And then there's those other things, which I absolutely love. The things that when you hear them, you're like, this would never work. This isn't me, and I can't do this.
This is too easy.
But then when you actually do it, it blows your mind. Or even different ways that we've learned how to think about something, where you think about it in one way naturally and you realize it's not like that at all. Yes. So here is a big breakthrough, and you can tell them about this. A big breakthrough we had is on just this classic definition that we all agree on of time management, right? We've got this thing where in our culture, it's like time management is one thing. It's a quality, it's an ability, and you're either good at that ability or you're bad at that ability. And we found something very counterintuitive about that.
Yeah, because everyone thinks of it as it's like a logical thing. Like I have to be better at productivity. That must mean, my brain needs more information, or I need to be applying the techniques in a more logical way, or whatever.
Or if I can add, I'm either born good at it or I'm bad at it.
That's a common misconception too. Actually, productivity is just a skill, just like anything else, just like basketball or whatever else, math. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it. But more importantly, it doesn't just consist of time management. It's actually the confluence of 4 different skills all working together.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like, you already know a lot about time management, but you haven't been getting the results you want, it's probably because one of these other of the 4 skills isn't quite firing appropriately.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'll just use an example from here. Like this is like an alloy. Aluminum's an alloy, right? It looks like one thing, right? It feels like one thing, but it's actually made up of many separate things. And so that's what time mastery is like, right? We think time mastery is this one skill. Like I'm just good at managing my time. But this blew our mind, and it took us years to get here. We realized it's actually 4 separate things, almost like metals that are melted down together and then recast as an alloy. It's actually 4 separate things, and those 4 things are focus, attitude, stamina, and time. So that we call it the fast time mastery model, because what we're trying to do is blow people's mind and make them realize, oh, what I thought was just time management, now we're calling it time mastery, is actually 4 things. Yes, time management is one of them. But it's focus, attitude, stamina, and time. Let's just let's do a high-level breakdown of all of those and then do a deep dive.
Okay, yeah, so super quick high-level breakdown. So focus is about how much you can use the skill of focus to get an insane amount of work done. Because the speed of our work can increase and we can get the most important things done with increased focus.
Yeah, we keep talking about, I wish I could work more hours. I
Yeah.
wish I could clone myself. That's great and everything, but it's also the same as saying, I wish I had a unicorn. Never going to happen, right? What we can do is we can actually work faster at a higher quality if we are focused. And we can go through the studies like Till Kingdom Come,
Yeah.
but they all say the same thing, which is that when you remove distractions from your life, you can get focused. So that's the first one, is clearly, and let's reverse it a little bit. If you can't focus, can you have time mastery? And the answer is clearly, obviously not. Like, without focus, I cannot achieve time mastery.
Right, and that's actually an important element that most people miss today. Is
Yeah.
focus out.
So what's the
So
second?
the next one is attitude.
Yeah.
This is also another kind of sneaky one, but it's one of our favorite ones too, because without the right mindsets towards your work, without the right
Yeah.
mindsets towards your time, knowing how to manage the 40,000 thoughts that go through your head every day, then even if you know everything about productivity, you're not going to feel good about your work.
Yep.
You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're always going to feel that low level of anxiety
Yep.
about your work. And so that's what attitude is all about.
Yeah, so the only thing I would say is, again, try to imagine somebody who has time mastery who has terrible attitude.
Yeah.
Right? Who's
Blaming
a victim
other people.
to
Like,
victim attitude, a victim to depression, anxiety, procrastination. And clearly the answer is like, oh, well, of course, yes. Like, of course, yes, I have to have focus in order to have time mastery. Of course, I have to have a good attitude. But it's not, of course. You know, the truth
Right.
is that we have all these time management courses out there that are telling us how to click buttons and track
Yeah,
time,
right.
but they're not talking about focus. They're not talking about attitude.
yeah, they're like, here's how you make a better to-do list and stuff like that. That's not actually going to make a difference for your productivity.
Yeah, but what would make a giant difference is if you walked into work every day being like, yes, let me at 'em. I can't wait to get to this. That would make an incredible difference.
Exactly. So the third element is stamina. So this is all about how you manage your energy and how you take care of your physical body.
Yeah.
So this is another one that a lot of people miss. It's that it's grounded in this principle that we almost expect our bodies to like do all the heavy lifting
Yep.
for us without any kind of maintenance or sustenance or resourcing.
It's like we're pulling out of the garden. We keep gardening out of it, and the fertility of the soil keeps going down and down. But instead of like re-entering fertility in the soil, instead of healing the soil, instead of regenerating the soil, we're just like, no, let's just see if we can get away with it even more. And what happens over time is your crop yields go down.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting less and less and less and less and less out of the garden.
Yeah.
And that's your body.
And again, that should be surprising to no one, but yet it's something that's so overlooked that it's one of the four crucial elements of time mastery.
And again, ask yourself very simply, can I be a master of time management and be exhausted, be run down, be blown out, and just completely like destroyed all the time? And the answer is clearly no.
Absolutely. And so the fourth element is time management. And so we're really passionate about this element. It's sort of the fourth element once those first three are taken care of, because it's all about how you can treat time like the most precious, scarce resource that you have.
And even in this one, I feel like this is one where we can offer some very counterintuitive realizations. And you're going to see that one of the things that we do is we bring you a lot of those counterintuitive realizations about time. We end up getting people tracking their time down to a level of accuracy that they've never done before. And the reason they never done it is because they thought it would take a ton of time and be really stressful and be really time consuming. And we show people how to do that in no time at all.
But most importantly, we'll go deeper on all these four, but the most important part here is that when you track your time, you're actually going to recover time that you didn't know you had.
Yes.
So for everyone out there who's saying, hey, I don't have enough hours in the day, like I'm so busy already, how can I possibly find any more time to do any more stuff? Then this is the tool that will get you there.
Absolutely. So we'll dig deeper, but I just want to put a bow on that issue of time, right? Which is, with the Facebook group, once you join our course, there's also a matching Facebook group. And the Facebook group is organized around a challenge. And that challenge is simply put, can you discover or recover 10 hours in your week? So everybody who gets in that Facebook group is saying, yes, Tamir, I am committed to tracking my time and discovering or recovering 10 hours in my week so that I can either work more efficiently, I can push the ball forward, I can make more sales, I can do more calls, or I can even be a better husband or wife or friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do my workouts. And so guys, the time is there. I know that you feel like it's not there, but think about it like an inefficient Tetris puzzle where everything's just dumped in there, right? And so if you took all of the pieces out and you lined them up and fit them in just perfectly, guess what? You have a lot more space left over. And that's exactly what we're going to do with your time. We're going to rearrange the whole Tetris puzzle.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, should we go back to the
yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive a little bit deeper on each one of those. You want to start with focus?
Yes. So focus is one of my most favorite of these 4. And again, like Amir was saying, like we need to have all 4 of these firing like a pistons in an engine, right?
Yeah.
So if one piston is broken, then the whole train isn't going to be able to run. So they all work in synchrony. Not just one is more important than the other. But focus is really important because it's actually the #1 skill you can have in today's economy. And the reason why we say that is because a lot of jobs are being outsourced and automated. So really low-level jobs don't exist anymore. And that leaves high-level jobs for knowledge workers like us, anyone watching this video. And the thing about knowledge workers today is we're incredibly distractible.
Yeah.
And that the only thing that really differentiates one person from the other in terms of productivity is how easily we get distracted.
Yeah. So there's this incredible book that was written this year, in 2017, by Cal Newport called Deep Work. And he talks about how in the information economy, the #1 skill is not intelligence, right? Because how many times have you known somebody who's super smart, but they can't work their way out of a paper bag? They can't get things done. They can't move the ball down the field.
Yeah, probably all of us.
Yeah, all of us know someone who's brilliant, but they overthink it or they underthink it or they just don't actually work it. At the end of the day, your ability to take the chaos of life and block it out and get something done is the #1 skill in a knowledge economy. And so that's why focus is so critical, and it comes first in our model, because your ability to take and manage the chaos, create little bubbles of focus, and inside of that focus, unlock your brain's ability to do incredible, focused, amazing work. That is a superpower. If you can do that, you're indestructible in this economy.
So in our full fast course, we teach several amazing super hacks for developing your focus and becoming a master at focus very quickly. So we're not going to get into all of that there. We don't have time to go over all of those hacks. But again, make sure you check out that course to get those.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we go on to attitude, or do you want to say anything else about focus?
I think I'm good. If I think of anything, well, I will say before we move on, I think some people might be thinking, oh yeah, I feel kind of distracted, but it's some kind of problem with me. But honestly, guys, it's not. It's a problem with the technology we use. It's the problem with how we've set up our workday. It's about the distractions coming in at us. So, for example, the average cell phone user checks their phone 150 times per day.
Yeah.
And the average office worker gets interrupted every 7 minutes.
Yeah, and here's another stat that'll trip you out. When you get interrupted, you think you go right back to what you're working on, but studies show that it actually takes you 23 minutes to get back into the level of focus and the level of engagement that you had before. So put it all together and it just adds up to this. We've got an environment that is actually perfectly designed to distract us.
Yeah.
We've got phones distracting us. We've got little notifications and beeps and dings on our computer. We've got temptations like Facebook and news, right? If you wanted to design an environment that was designed to make you work inefficiently, it would be our current workflow right now.
Absolutely. And so my main point with that is simply that means that we can control it. That means that we can restructure it and choose to work in a different way than we see everybody else working, and that will immediately increase our productivity. So more on that inside the fast course, but let's move on.
Yeah, so the second one is my favorite one, which is attitude. The truth is, guys, if you have, and these people in life who fail up because they've got such a great attitude, like they walk into work, they've got a sunny disposition.
I hate those people.
They're just like, how are you doing today? I'm excited, right? And even if they're not the best worker or the smartest person, these people will always tend to succeed in life because when you've got a positive attitude and you're in ownership of what's going on and you've got a can-do attitude, then you can take a bad plan or bad tools or a bad system or bad skills and you can still pull out a win, right? But the opposite is not true. If you have the perfect systems, tools, talent, if you have everything right, but you're negative, you're consumed by fear, depression, anxiety, a victim mentality, then you'll probably still lose, no matter how perfect everything else. You could give somebody like that the perfect scenario, and they will still sabotage it
Right.
because of that attitude.
Because what it is our thoughts truly direct our actions
Oh my God,
on
so
a
much.
subconscious level. And so if you think something is true, like if you think you can't get work done because of your office environment or because it's someone else's fault or whatever the case is, then your actions will make that true, and your environment will reflect back truths that make you think it's true, right?
No, absolutely. It's completely true. And so what we do inside of the FAST course is we give you some critical super hacks for your attitude. And I know that's weird because it's not an app, right? But think about when we teach you a super hack for attitude, and one of them that we talk about is extreme ownership. Think about it like an app that you can load onto your phone, but instead of an app on your phone, it's an app that you can upload to your brain. Because this, what you've got sitting between the 6 inches between your ears, that is so much more powerful than any technology app or productivity app.
Yeah.
If you can get this working for you, if you can get the right attitude where you're coming in every day and instead of like, oh my God, I just want to get through this. What if instead you were like, let me at it?
Yeah. I mean, guys, screw the apps, all right? We're not here to tell you the technology you need to use. I mean, that layers onto your brain. Your brain is like the operating system, and the apps can't
Preach.
function unless the operating system at its core is amazing and super high quality.
Hallelujah. Preach it. Absolutely. So that's attitude, right? And one of the things that I just delight in as a coach is showing people how to step into a superior attitude. Because the funny thing is when you change this up here, everything else seems so much, it just gains potency.
Exactly.
It just amplifies everything.
Yeah.
So we're teaching you about the fast time mastery, almost like the process and the framework, because we want to get you thinking about time mastery not as like one thing, but as like an alloy, 4 things that form something seemingly, singular, and yet they're made of different pieces. And the reason that's so important to get that aha moment is because when you realize there's 4, you're like, oh, I don't need to be good at one thing.
Yeah.
All I have to do is get better at these 4 separate things. And as they combine, boom, it's like rocket fuel. It explodes you. So we just covered focus. We just covered attitude. And we realized that without those, it's inseparable.
Yeah.
It's like links in a chain. You have terrible focus, the chain breaks apart. You have a terrible attitude, the chain breaks apart, right? Now let's talk about stamina.
Okay, stamina is super important too, especially for you guys because you're managing a lot of different sorts of projects. So your cognitive load is already very high.
Yeah.
And I also know that a lot of you are control freaks like me. Hi, what's up, control freaks? Which means that you have a tendency towards overwork and micromanagement, sort of just built in perfectionism, that kind of thing. That's what I deal with on a daily basis as well. So stamina is going to be really important to you. It's going to be a little bit counterintuitive. So bear with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we know about stamina because, a lot of us, and you too, I count you in this, these overachievers, people, hey, what's up, Danielle from Houston? A lot of us who are overachievers, the mind is willing, but the body is not able, right? The mind is willing. This is what happened with Carrie and I when we got our health diagnosis that basically said, you have to stop. There was no part of our mind that thought that we were at the end of the road. We were just getting started with our careers, but our body was literally like, nope, done. Right. And this is the same thing. And also going back to this analogy of like the garden, right? What we're doing with our stamina is we're trying to cheat the system. The world works on closed systems, right? With a garden, it's a closed system.
Yeah.
You take fertility out of the soil, there is less in there. You need to put it back, right? Just like the planet, the water, the pollutants are in the water, you need to take them out of the water, right? It's a closed system. You're never going to get more out of your body than you're never going to take out more than you put in. And here's the problem, though. We don't act like that.
No.
I think a lot
of us, can feel very disconnected from our bodies and like what's going on with ourselves. Or if there is something going on, we try to ignore it. We try to be like, no, it's fine. I'm going to keep going.
So we're always trying to like put in $1 and take out $1.05.
Yeah, we're like, I can keep going like this for another 5 years.
Yeah. We're always, but here's the thing. Studies have shown, and this is a fascinating thing, studies have shown that there's a very clear, smooth line of productivity where up to 40 hours a week, you can go up, and then around the 40-hour mark, it just tapers off, and then after 40 hours a week, it starts going down, where literally your productivity, the quality of your work and the quantity of your work actually goes down to match the 40-hour work week. And here's what's so absurd about that. People out there today working 60-hour weeks are only getting the productivity of a person working 40 hours a week. The extra 20 hours a week is literally wasted. Now, why? That's so counterintuitive because we think, no, if I'm working 20 hours extra a week, I'm getting 20 more hours of work done.
Right.
What happens is the degradation of our performance is so small that we don't notice. It's almost like a drunk person is driving and they think, I'm good. They can't see the impairment in their performance.
Actually, in fact, they think that their performance is going up. So if you're working like in the nights and on the weekends right now and you're thinking, I'm gonna grind out so much stuff right now. Look at me working on night. The sad truth is it's probably very low level work. Probably making more mistakes. You're probably forgetting more stuff. It's probably taking you a heck of a lot longer to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get this degradation, and what happens is we start making mistakes, and then we have to spend more hours going back and correcting the mistakes, right? We start overlooking things. We're less creative. So instead of, when we're rested, we might think of a solution that skips step 1, 2, 3, 4, and just takes us to 5. We don't think about those things when we're tired. We end up doing all of the work. And so in 100 different ways, as you reach and go past the point of exhaustion, you're actually performing, in a way that is inferior to a way that you would have performed if you just could have worked 40 hours a week.
Yeah, so stamina is all about getting enough sleep. It's all about eating right. It's all about self-resourcing. We actually talk about a concept too in the course called radical self-care, which again, for all of you guys who have like an insane number of things on your plate, is going to seem like, what the heck? Like, is this really going to make me more productive?
It's totally the opposite of what you would think. Yeah, it's basically, instead of like, right now your paradigm is like, it's like a balancing. I just have to rob Peter to pay Paul. But radical self-care flips that paradigm and says, no, you put yourself first, you get massively happy, massively resourced, massively slept and well rested and fed, and then you're going to be like Superwoman, and you're going to be able to, instead of pounding against the wall, you just, the first time, boom, the wall comes down.
Right. And of course, these are all the fundamentals we're talking about here. So if other thoughts are running through your head, and you're just wondering all these different other questions, we want to hear them in the comment box.
Yeah.
But just know, we're talking about the fundamentals. This is what you guys need first.
Yeah.
And then we can start layering on all sorts of other super hacks so that you can really be getting, 130 hours done in a 40-hour work week.
Absolutely. Danielle says, totally me. My husband asks me every month why I'm always waiting till the last minute to do things. And I think I've convinced myself I work better under pressure. Really quick, I want to address that. No, you don't work better under pressure. The human brain moves away from pain or towards pleasure. That's the only thing the brain does. We have this fancy frontal part of the brain where we overthink things and we think that we're fancier than we are. We're not. We do two things very well. If there's a carrot right in front of us, and it's got to be very close, if we're super convinced that we can do something, then we'll move towards pleasure. Otherwise, we will move away from pain. When we set deadlines for ourselves and we're always working at the last minute, what we're trying to do is we're trying to engineer more pain into our lives in order to perform. Because when we become more exhausted, when we hate our job, when our attitude is when our focus is blown, we have a terrible attitude, when our stamina is blown, there's only one thing left that we can still count on to make us perform, and that's a deadline. And so we start forcing artificial deadlines or pushing our work up against deadlines because we've blown out our talent and our capability so much, and our muscles are so weak and we're so under-resourced that there's only one thing left. So if you're that person, believe me, this is good news.
Yeah.
Like, you're at the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up.
Well, it's also, there's going to be some really easy improvements you can make to engineer an environment where you're being rewarded for your work, where you're rewarding yourself for your focus, rewarding yourself for your attitude and your stamina. And so then you're creating a system within yourself that really works. And it's not dependent on what's going on with your job. Like, it's all about you.
Isn't it funny, like, how many clients we work with? We work with high-performing individuals, and we tell them this extreme self-resourcing theory, and they're like, no way, I can't take the vacation, I can't do this stuff. And we will start them off small. We'll have them take a 3-day vacation and not take their laptop and get massively resourced. And we make them do something that will, like, go to a spa, sleep in, like, do stuff that really refills the well. And every time they come back, and that next week, they literally finish the week and say, come here, Carrie, I got more done in this week than I've gotten done in the last 3 months.
It happens. It happens to us. We just got back from a 5-day trip to Nicaragua where we took a lot of days, several days off. Totally. Guess what happened the exact next month was our highest revenue generating month. We got featured in like 3 different media publications. We got asked to speak on a bunch of different podcasts.
It's not a coincidence. We're still talking about stamina here.
Yeah.
When you put in more, you get more out.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's crazy. It's a closed system. This is the rule, the rule of how the world works.
Anyway, more on that in the fast course.
Focus, attitude, stamina we just covered.
And the last element is, of course, time. And what we like, how we like to think about time is actually more like a currency.
Yeah.
And I think time is, people get that, I can't go back in time, I can't recover minutes once I've lost them, but we still spend it so frivolously.
Yeah.
Which indicates to us that we are not actually treating it like a currency.
I mean, here's like our overarching philosophy, right? Time is precious. We all know that. Any of us could go at any time. And yet, our attitude coming into every week is really ungrateful, right? You know, when you when you talk to somebody every single Sunday, their attitude should be, oh my God,
I'm still alive.
Another week of life. Oh my God, I get to live another 168 hours. I get to work on things that I'm passionate about. I get to be with my family another week. People at every Sunday should be going, oh my God, I get to live another week. Have you ever heard anybody say that in their life? No. What do we say on Sunday? Oh, another Monday.
Tomorrow. I have so much work. Oh my gosh. I worked like 80 hours last week.
Yeah, like instead of treating this forthcoming week, the next week, as like a blessing from God, we treat it like it's a liability. Like it's something that's hanging over us, right? We are literally, no matter what we say, we can say all the right words, but the way we're treating it is the wrong way. Here's how we think about it. Carrie and I sort of think about, and it's a weird analogy, but it works. Carrie and I think about every week of life like literally like God or your higher power, whatever you care, is giving you 168 hours, but you have to apply for it, right? Think about that. Think about if every week, instead of just being given another week, what if God made us stand in line and apply, right? And like sort of write a report and say, okay, well, here's what happened last week, and here's how here's how I thanked you and got a return on this incredible investment of life that you gave me. And I would like to please have another 668 hours, right? If we did that, oh my God, our productivity would just go through the roof.
But so would our investments in our health and our relationships and all the other facets of our life that we tend to forget about during the work week.
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine that. Imagine, if you will, that instead of just rolling one week into another and being exhausted and not paying attention to time, imagine if every week you had to stop and stand in line and write a report and say, God, and report and give it to God or your higher power, whatever, and say, this is what I did with the 168 hours you gave me last week, and this is what I'm gonna do with the 168 hours that I hope that you'll give me next week. And then when you get it, imagine if when you got that application approved, if you could, oh my God, yes, another week of life.
So that's sort of our philosophy towards time management rather. And inside the course, you'll discover a whole hack we have around tracking the time, where you'll recover 10 hours in your week at least.
At least 10 hours in your week.
Especially for you busy people who are tending to work on nights and weekends.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of goes over the first word. Yeah, anything else on time?
No, that's fast. Focus, attitude, stamina, and time. So what you thought was time management is only 1/4 of the engine, the 4 pistons that need to be kicking for this engine to actually move the car forward.
Right, exactly. So Deanna had a question earlier that I wanted to answer too. That was, hey, I have trouble turning work off.
Yeah.
And that's probably a symptom, like you're saying too, that you always feel like I'm not caught up enough, right? I think this is a very, very common issue that we see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the number one thing I would say, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this too, is that when we just kind of tend to like work on and on and on, and especially when you're working from home, it can be tricky to like close down the laptop, right? So what we have, first of all, is a self-imposed deadline for when work ends. And how we enforce that is a couple different ways. We actually schedule our downtime. Yeah. So the downtime is not just like, we're off, we're gonna do whatever we feel like in the moment. It's pre-scheduled. So we have our Pilates lessons scheduled. We've got we've got dates with friends pre-arranged. We've got all that time is actually scheduled.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, actually, I would have said exactly the same. The number one thing that you need to do is program your downtime, not just your work time. And I have people who aren't programming either. Yeah. They're literally not, they're not looking at their week and saying, okay, here's what I have to do, and mapping that to the time they have available. That's programming your work time. But you should also do that with the other side of the ledger, your home time, right? Like, working out with your husband or wife, going out with friends, having dinners, learning Spanish, like volunteering at the church, like all of these things should be programmed in. That is the surest way for you not to like bleed over, but it's also the surest way for you to sit there at 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, and look back at the literal roadmap that you said, this is how today's going to turn out, and look at it and say, no matter how you feel, because you're always going to feel tired, and when we feel tired, we tend to be negative. But sometimes you'll be tired, negative, and be like, oh, I'm really tired. And then you look at what you programmed and say, I did it. I actually did what I said that I was going to do. And you give yourself that permission to put the computer down. And it's all about the permission. What we're lacking today is a way of working where we know that if we do certain things, not impossible things, not superheroic things, but if I do these things, I can give myself permission to be a human again.
Totally, 100%. And I think it's also not only permission to be a human, but also it's about habit formation, right? I mean, you're giving yourself those carrots to look forward to.
Yeah.
So if you're like, wow, I got to be done by 5 p.m. today because I've got this cool new art class that I've scheduled myself for, then it's going to be highly motivating to you to get all your stuff done, and you're going to have a time barrier that's going to force you to close down for the night.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways that we live, which is maybe you'll take inspiration from it, maybe not, but we wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, we get up and we're working by 6, and we work from 6 to noon without breaks, right? I mean, little tiny, you'll learn our methodology. We take little 10-minute breaks to just regenerate ourselves at the end of every hour, but without big lunch breaks or anything. We literally go 7 hours, 6 to 1, and then at 1 p.m. our cook puts an Italian-style meal on the table. Right?
Maybe family style, not Italian food.
Like a big, like not just a tiny salad. I mean, we eat our biggest meal in the middle of the day, right? 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we are eating. And what that does is, it creates this hard edge where it's like, when that food is cooking and you can smell it and it's going to hit that table. And this cook, she cooks all day. So she's not going to, let us just sit around and keep working. So there's this like hard edge. And I'll tell you what, man, when you have a hard edge of something you're looking forward to that you have to be at, you work productively.
You're also going to find yourself not falling victim to procrastination as much.
Yeah.
Because you'll be like, well, this is the only hour I have to do this annoying thing that I do not want to do, but you'll get it done in that hour because that's what you have scheduled.
Speaking of, look at the time. We're about to have our lunch.
Do not miss this chance. Make sure you register with your personal email. If you have registered already and you have not gotten any kind of communications from us, then something is wrong.
Yes.
Please comment. We should have sent you at least 2 emails by now.
And the one thing I want to say is, like, guys, it's not just a course. When you get in there, there's going to be a Facebook group, and I'm going to be in there coaching with you side by side. So as soon as you get into the course, log into the private Facebook group, take the 10-hour-a-week back challenge, and hit me up with it. I'll probably be hitting you up, but if I don't hit you up, hit me up with a Facebook message so that we can get in dialogue and I can give you some coaching around this.
Definitely. All right. If you're watching this on replay, definitely comment below. Post your questions. We're going to be checking this and making sure that everybody gets a response.
Yeah, absolutely. We're committed to a 2018 where these are making more money, getting more time back, and designing a life that they really absolutely love. So if you're involved in that, let's work together to do that.
All right. See you guys soon.